Well, it's a crazy city filled with crazy people. Let's talk about some of the nuttiest.
Yeah.
So, folks, Gotham ended. Neither of us were that happy with the last season. But we both still love the show.
You made it through the whole season.
I did.
Caught episodes here and there, so yours will be a little more technically complete. But there's of the new characters they introduced. I saw them all, and I just didn't really care about any of them.
Yeah, no, they weren't. It was a weak way to end. But we both love the show. We both love these characters, and so to have fun and feel like we're closing this out on a better note than the show itself gave. We're doing a top 10 list, and we're doing this the same way we did in the Buffy video last year, which is that we both have our top 10s. We have them on flashcards. We do not know the other one's top 10s, and we're just going to reveal them as we go along. And you also have a bunch of honorable mentions, but I'm not going to front load with those. We will tackle those.
Will do later. Okay.
We'll tackle the honorable mentions, I think, when we get to maybe right before we do the top 3, we'll do your honorable mentions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because otherwise it's going to take us forever to get started.
We just mentioned how you gave me a list of 30, 40, and I narrowed it down to 25.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be hard. And then I was like, oh, I got to 18 now. And then I stayed stuck on 13 for a long time.
This has been a process to get her to... And if you haven't been around for one of our lists before, she not only has the names on the index cards, she has notes on the back of them. I do not.
Yeah, there are some where I'm like, I need more note cards for some
Okay,
of these characters.
So... Ready with your number 10?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah, you like her better. I do not have her on anything, but I know you really like her.
I did. So, I'll mention this. Fish Mooney was one of my early hook-ins, because I was not a huge fan of... I didn't like the pilot episode at all. And it took me a little while to get into the first season. And there were basically two things that kept me coming back in those early episodes. One was Oswald Cobblepot, the other was Fish Mooney. And I really think Jada Pinkett Smith brought a great presence to the proceeding. She felt like she was there to play, and she was having fun. She was having fun, and she felt very in command, and yet in a way that made it very cathartic when she got bumped out of her seat of power. So she occupies the very bottom spot because, she's not... she barely makes the number 10, and part of it is, grandfather claused in because I may not have stuck with this show if it wasn't for you and a couple of other people. So I feel like I needed to give her a mention there. That's
fair. I like her. It took me a while to get into her. She was just a little... And Gotham, that first season especially, you had to figure it out.
It takes a while to get on its wavelength.
I think for me that's why, and by the time I got into her, then she was gone, and I was like, well, dang it.
Fair enough.
And she came up briefly, but again, not enough. I do like her though, and I do think it was she was having a blast in that role.
So we can talk about yours, because
yes.
Butch!
And that does include Solomon Grundy. I could have done them as separate characters. You gave them to me as both, but he does kind of go back to being Butch. And
I feel like it is different phases of the same characters, even though the behavior is different. It's not like some other characters that might come up later on the list where it feels more proper to section them off. I stand behind lumping Butch with Solomon Grundy, which is actually part of why he didn't make my list. Because, if he had just had his Butch arc and had been closed out in... spoilers, by the way. In Season 3
spoilers throughout this show.
When he got killed, he might have made my top 10. I didn't dislike the Solomon Grundy arc, but I kind of felt like he worked better...
As Butch?
As Butch.
I will give you that. I liked it because... Here's the thing, he's constantly getting manipulated, and he works really well for that.
He's a good supporting character.
He's a really good supporting character, and that's why he's on my list. He's just kind of this enigma of a character that's kind of a sweet, chumpy guy, but he still totally capable of double-crossing you, murdering,
Oh,
like
yeah.
all that galore. He fits really well into the Gotham underworld. Has a really complex relationship with Penguin where they're constantly like allies and then double-crossing each other and then like, you know.
Kind of friends, but also not really because nobody's friends in Gotham.
Casual allies for a while.
Yeah.
Necessary allies. I really do like his relationship with Tabitha.
That was well developed. Like initially
was
when they
well
started hinting at that, I was like, wait, what? But no,
It's
that worked. That did work.
Sweet and kind of kinky and kind of dysfunctional in
Yeah.
a very Gotham way.
Yeah. They're an item now. Barf.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure we will be seeing her on your list.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So, yep. Yeah, I just really like him. Again, I agree with you. Solomon Grundy is not as bad. But what I did like about that character was that it was Tabitha trying to get through to him. Even if it meant she was beating the crap out of him. But again, very Gotham way to go about bringing back the person you love.
Yeah.
So.
Hit them, and if that doesn't work, hit them again.
Honestly.
And then maybe electrocute them.
Yeah, honestly, both with him and with Tabitha, I'm like, I'm sorry to see you go, but I'm like, probably it's not a bad thing that you missed the 5th season, because that last season was kind of a mess, so you didn't miss much by exiting a little bit earlier. So.
Fair enough. So, number 9's. Got yours?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Oh!
You'll see we're close on that
Okay.
one.
You can talk about Barbara. I'm going to hold my, because, spoiler, Barbara's on my list, but a lot higher. So I'll talk about her a little later.
So when she's good, when she's having when she is in full Barbara mode, she's just great. The crazy eyes, she and Tabby are great together. I love their whole nightclub. I love what they do. I like her relationship with Selena and the alliance she and Selena and Tabby have. I like how she and Lee and Jim are co-parenting at the end. I do like her obsession with Jim throughout. I don't like jealousy in real life, but it works so well on Gotham.
What?
It works well with her, and there's another character that you'll see much higher on my list where I'm like, yeah, jealousy works for you.
Here's what I liked about her in that jealousy angle. I'm going to mention it here because I might forget to mention it when she shows up on my list. Is that it was initially it was a very active jealousy. I'm going to break you thing. But what I like is season 3 onward, it was just an undercurrent. She was just operating on the presumption oh, you're going to end up with me eventually.
Yeah.
I don't need to even do much because I know that's what's going to happen. I like that was an undercurrent to her interactions with him.
I love that. Oh, hey, Jim. And she just always looked fabulous.
Oh,
God. That helped so much. And there was not a bad hairstyle on that woman.
Nope.
They could do anything with her hair. She's just great. That being said, she's not higher for me because, again, it took me a while to get into her. She's kind of like a flat character before
she goes nuts.
Before she gets tortured. And then I didn't really like the Ra's al Ghul storyline and her relationship with him.
Fair.
So there were a few dips in her character or else she would have been higher on my list.
She's another one that they found a few good things to do with her later on. She's another one that might have been better leaving her dead at the end of season 3.
Yeah, maybe.
But also, I mean, let's be honest. Bisexual blonde solidarity.
Yeah. Represent.
Okay. So my number 9, I have Hugo Strange.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna start talking about him because he's my number 8. So
Oh, okay. So,
I'll go right after you.
Okay, cool. So, what I liked about him is because Hugo Strange in the comics can be an odd one to deal with depending on how you choose to motivate him. Because the way he's written, he's usually either motivated strictly as a mad scientist or as somebody who's basically a madman for hire, doing stuff for money. I think they rode the line really well here, where he is very interested in his experiments and his results, but he's also a total coward, and like
he just disappears.
He is a coward with zero morals. So when he like his appearance in season 5, when he pops up, just happens to be putting chips into people because somebody's paying him to do it. Like, oh yeah, that tracks. That's totally the kind of thing that he would do. And BD Wong is just smooth.
Oh yeah, yep. That was it for me. It was like that voice.
That does help a lot, because I think the most exposure I got into, I knew Hugo Strange, but I think the most exposure I got into him prior to this was the animated series, and he was much more of a shouty kind of a character there. I'm like, no, I like the smooth thing.
Yeah.
Like even when he's panicking, he's still smooth. I'm like,
he's
nice.
so self-assured, so self-possessed. He's probably my favorite voice on Gotham, where I'm just like, oh yeah.
So he's your number 8, so go ahead and talk about him.
Yeah, I already am. So he's my number 8. I like how much he sets in motion a lot of the plot, that he has made Arkham what it is. He brings back a lot of great characters. Fish and Jerome, and at one point, I don't like Theo Gallivant. You won't see him on my list, but he also did bring him back. So to a lesser extent, him as well.
And he also souped up a whole bunch of characters. Firefly was what she was because of Hugo Strange.
So he's just a great performance, great use in terms of developing other characters. I wish he would have been around more, I think, or he would have maybe been higher on my list had he been around in more seasons.
See, the thing is, I'm not sure you could build too much more than you did around him, because he doesn't have a grand plan and he's too self-serving.
Yeah, but I will never get tired of hearing that voice.
Fair enough. So that was your number 8. So my number 8, and you'll know what this means, but I need to explain this to viewers. So, Middle Ivy. So, Ivy Pepper, this show's version of Poison Ivy, basically appears in 3, and I consider them completely different and distinct forms. We have her introduced initially as a young girl. She then gets artificially aged up, and there's an in-universe explanation for that, and we get my favorite Ivy, which is Middle Ivy. Later,
should have been the only Ivy.
I know.
I don't know why they gave us Third Ivy.
I know they did Third Ivy, who was it was a totally valid execution of Poison Ivy as a character, but I liked Middle Ivy so much more. What I liked about her was especially given the fact that a big part of her deal is that people, men mostly, are innately attracted to her. And given that she still has the mind of a child, that could have come off super creepy. But it never did, for 2 reasons. The first is, yes, men kind of become obsessed with her, but they also listen to her, so she's never in danger from them. And 2, she still has at the Middle Ivy stage, she still has a very innocent perception of sex. So, she's not,
she's never depicted as having sex with any of them.
No. She, Middle Ivy, despite looking very attractive, is not a sexualized character. It's very obvious that people have that attraction to it, but she's just kind of like, oh yeah, they just do what I want now. It's great. And I love that she still had that naivete going on. She's
just charming. She's on my honorable mentions list. I think she was one of the, on my 13 where I'm like, I don't know, I want to. I think it's just, if they had kept her and incorporated her more, she would have gotten on my list, but
if they had kept her around instead of upping her again into the last Ivy we got, she might have been higher for me. But I had a lot of fun with Middle Ivy, which was nice because conceptually when I found out that was what they were doing, I'm like, that's stupid. And then I saw her, I'm like, that's awesome.
She was a nice surprise. Yeah. Well, and I really like that scene with Penguin where she's helping him out. That whole scene. Yeah. She's great with Penguin, as pretty much many
characters are. All right, so we're at number 7.
Yes.
So, ready?
Yep.
Oh.
I'll have him, but higher.
Tabby, and I've got Alfred Pennyworth. So,
Tabby.
You started talking about Tabby earlier, so...
I really was not expecting her to die at the first episode of the 5th season. That hurt. I really liked her. I love her whole dynamic and love triangle with Barb and Butch. That's a lot of fun. Like I said, sweet relationship with Butch, little dysfunctional, but like
A little
it
bit,
works
but
for
like
them.
that's Gotham.
She kind of works as a dominatrix, and that's. Part of it is she's just really hot. Like this is my faith vote. This is my. You're so hot. Like you wear leather and carry around whips, and that makes me happy.
Fair. That is fair.
I do love the Sirens Club, and just that whole ladies club, and you can just tell, like, they're just sometimes, like, especially when they pull Selena into the mix, they're just like, we're so done with the boys. Like, we're so done. We're gonna do our own thing.
Stupid men.
I did like her role. I didn't like that Barb was with Ra's al Ghul, but I did like how she kind of pulled her out of that.
Yes.
So I did like her role in that storyline. Even though I didn't really like the storyline, I liked her role in it.
Okay.
I like that she trains Selena and gets her kind of into being more of the Catwoman. And there's not a lot of people of color on Gotham, and it's
That's true.
nice.
And I mean, part of that is there honestly aren't a lot of people of color in Batman mythos, broadly speaking.
She's an original character, though.
She is an original character,
as is Fish, right?
So is Fish, yeah. So like in Batman lore proper, there's Lucius Fox. That's kind of it.
What about Lee? Is she depicted as
Lee? Well, first of all, Lee in the comics is well, I guess I was gonna say significantly older. I guess she's about Gordon's age. So like white.
When we see Gordon, he's
gray-haired old white lady is Lee in the comics.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, and she's just tough and hot, and like just like the moment she came on the scene, I'm like, yeah. I really do like Tabby. And there is never, like, really a dip in her character, like there are for others.
That's true. A lot of these kind of go up and down.
And that's honestly, like, I'll mention Selena as an honorable mention, but she just had too many, like, ups and downs for me.
Yeah, Selena didn't make my list either.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Alfred.
Yes. I will speak a little bit about him, but yeah, he's higher on my list.
Yeah, so, first of all, I'm just a sucker for Sean Pertwee.
Yeah.
I love him as an actor. I love his
second favorite voice in Gotham.
I love his rough and tumble energy that he has. I love the sense of authority when he speaks. He got beaten up a lot. Holy cow. More concussions than a linebacker. Dang.
A lot of hospital time, a lot of taking bullets. Like, he is gritty.
But what I like is, amongst other things, one of the things I like is that he has to learn how to deal with Bruce. Because, we've always seen Alfred after having had already raised Bruce. So, usually when we see Alfred and Bruce, they already have that father-son dynamic. Whereas here, they're still figuring out. He does not seamlessly slip into being a surrogate father figure. It's rough for him too, and I like that. And I like that as much as Bruce, who didn't make my list for the record, but who I did enjoy, as much as Bruce is figuring out his own path, Alfred is also figuring out his path relative to Bruce and how to best support Bruce while still trying to keep him from going down worse paths than he's already on. So I really thought the dynamic and the growth of that relationship especially was really good.
Yes. You will see him later. They're higher on my list. So
okay.
I'll say a few more things about him then.
Okay, so number 6.
Oh, he is... Yeah, you will see this guy.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be higher for you.
Yeah.
So, Lee.
I always like her. And I like the up and down parts of her relationship with Gordon, that she always has some kind of hold and sway on him, even when she's with Mario and he's with Valerie for a little while.
I did like that, but I liked her best when she had no connection with him and was just running the Narrows, honestly.
Yes, I will get to that.
That was my favorite version of Lee.
Yes. She's great with Bullock as well.
Yeah.
She really is. Like, they have a good relationship. and Harv always understands her pull on Lee and like how that can influence him. She calls Gordon on his stuff. Like,
yes.
Not afraid.
Somebody needs to.
Yes. I really think that they handled the heartache and her fury at losing Mario really well, which propels her, into season 4, Lee, which is most improved character in a single season.
Season 4 Lee is the best Lee.
Her as like an underworld boss as Queen of the Narrows is just great. Like Dark Lee is a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I really do love her affair with Ed too, and where
I love the two of them stabbing each other so much. I love it so much.
And I say if Ed cannot be with Penguin, which I ship so hard, Lee is a totally like best choice scenario if he has to be heterosexual. Fine.
Lee barely missed my list.
Really? She did not make your list?
She did not make it. She was close. She was really close. But it was because of how long it took me to really love her. Because I really kind of only love her in season 4. And I didn't dislike her prior to that. She was just kind of there.
Yeah.
So, like, if I did an honorable mentions list, which I didn't, she would have been on there.
Fair.
So, Oswald, who, like I said, I knew was going to be much higher on your list. Now, like, I'll say first the reason why I don't have him higher was something that you already mentioned, which is that sort of up and down thing. And the thing with Oswald is he was one of my early hook-ins, like Fish. He was one of the things early on that kept me coming back. And I love what an opportunist he is. And I do think there's a lot of validity to the reason they had him kind of going up and down in his seat in Gotham, which is that he's very good at getting to the top. He's very bad at running things once he's there. Because he only knows how to be ruthless. And ruthless can get you there, but ruthless does not run an efficient operation once you're in charge. So it's totally valid, but definitely by the end of season 4 and start of season 5, I was really tired of seeing him ascend to the top, fall back down. Ascend to the top, fall back down. I was just really tired of that repetition, even though I understood it was based in character and made a lot of sense. So the reason he's not higher is because I got irritated at sort of the repetition of the character use. But I do enjoy him as a character. I love that he's just so bad at people. He's
so bad.
He is terrible at relating to people. He's not even very good at manipulating people, but he always happens to have something that they need, and he jumps on every opportunity so fast.
Always like one step ahead, and you're like, he's not going to make it this time. I will not say a lot until I get to him, but yeah, we will be revisiting Ozzy.
I do enjoy Oswald a lot. It was just, that was an issue where the character use brought him down just a little bit.
I will have my rebuttal to that eventually.
Okay, so number 5. So, you want to take it?
Yes, sure. I just enjoy watching him struggle throughout. That struggle between Ed and the Riddler, and like, who am I going to blame it on this week?
Well, I like that the Riddler is just as likely to get mad at Ed as Ed is to get mad at the Riddler. I like that cut both ways.
Yeah, they did it really well. The actor is great. Watching him devolve is fascinating. Again, ship him and Ozzy so hard.
Here's the thing. The one reason I'm not mad at them for that, because in my headcanon, Oswald's asexual.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm okay with, but like you put the two of them in a room together, and I love that scene. I don't care what episode it's in. I don't care what's going on.
Does not
put them in the same
matter
room, and I love it.
If they are at each other's throats, trying to kill each other, or like brokering an alliance, or if Ozzy's pining for him, I am just happy whenever they're together.
Or the most touching thing ever, them going in for a hug, each prepared to stab the other in the back, and then neither one does it. It's like, oh.
Gotham is a really stabby show.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of stabbing that goes on in there.
Stabby. I really like watching the other characters sort of learn to mistrust him, and I love putting him at Gotham City Police and how his relationship kind of corrodes with Harvey and Lee and Gordon.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And just like some of the things that Lee says to him, once she knows about Kristen Kringle, she has some words. I don't love the Kristen Kringle storyline or the Isabella stuff. He has, until he hits
It was
me,
unnecessary.
It was bad choices in women. And I always, and this is an issue I have. I love Tyrion in Game of Thrones. I have issues with him killing Shay. I have issues once again. And I think partially my mother was someone who worked in the criminal justice system, and I would hear stories of domestic violence growing up, so it's always something that just is like, I can't handle.
No, that's fair. I would say, like, I feel like the Kristen Kringle thing made a little bit more sense in terms of getting him to that sort of de-evolution into someone like the Riddler. Mm-hmm. Reviving that with the Isabella thing, that was completely unnecessary. But I do get what you're saying.
Brought nothing.
No, she wasn't great.
She just, and like that was an issue I had early on with Gotham, was the first season or so, other than Selena, because I liked Selena early on, it was a lot of women being victims.
It was a bit.
And then it got better.
I think that was also one of the reasons I liked Fish.
Yes. True.
So I like Nigma was my 4, so that.
Do you want to say any more?
No, I mean I think we've got it. Ed's Ed, and Ed is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So coming backwards to my number 5, then. So Harvey, you will see
him again on my list.
I did not fall in love with him as quickly as I did with someone like Fish or someone like Oswald, but he was a good, steady presence through some of the rough parts of the show. He could be counted on to just be the, oh, for God's sake.
What's Gotham?
Like he was the, oh, Gotham guy, and he was really good for that. Donald Logue he's just a good presence. I always enjoy him, even when he's in things that are not very good. He is pretty much always enjoyable, and he had a really good dynamic with Jim Gordon. He had a good dynamic with pretty much everybody, but he was with Jim the most. So that was kind of essential, since especially the early seasons were built on that relationship. Mm-hmm. And he also, he has his own little mini arcs. He faces consequences. He is in charge at one point and blows it, and that wrecks him for a bit. And so as much as he is a supporting character, he was a supporting character afforded growth and also stumbling as he went, which was nice. Because they could have just kept him at the same note he started at and just had him be the snarky detective and left it at that. But they didn't. They put more effort than that into it, and I appreciated it.
Yes.
So my number 4 was Ed. Who was your number 4? Jerome Valeska.
So I didn't really think much of him when they introduced him in season 1. I was like, he's okay, whatever.
It's when he comes back in season 2. It's okay, now we're having fun.
Just the cult following, it just works really well. He's so crazed. That grin is unnerving. Oh, God. Just the way he messes with Bruce and his obsession with him, and you just don't know what he's going to do. I love how he holds sway over other villains like Echo and Tetch and Scarecrow, and how he can manipulate them. He's just so much fun.
He is.
And it's a masterful performance.
It is. And, like, it's worth... Well, actually, he's my 3. So, I like him a lot, and I like him way better than Jeremiah. Jeremiah's not on my list. Jeremiah wouldn't even get an honorable mention on my list. I don't
quite on mine either. He's not Jeremiah's not bad. It's just like we had this.
Yes, we had Jerome. We didn't need Jeremiah. We had Jerome. But I love that he just wants to have fun, and his idea of fun is so messed up. Okay. And that's what I love about it, is that he obviously puts some degree of planning, but the planning he puts in seems to be more for showmanship than for function. It's much more about making a spectacle than actually accomplishing anything. And he's
kind of the epitome of Gotham chaos.
He is. It's like, okay, not only am I going to do this thing, I'm going to make a show of doing this thing.
This does not make sense, but man, are we gonna have fun doing
Yes,
it.
like that is Jerome in a nutshell. Like, this doesn't need to make sense because it's fun. Mm-hmm. So I like him a lot. So
yes, it's with people.
He was also my number 3, but before we get to your number 3 and then up from there, let's do your honorable mentions. How many do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Go ahead. We'll try not to stay on them too long, but go for it.
So Gertrude Cobbleputz.
Oh, good. Well, that's just because Carol Kane.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. She's Carol Kane. She is like, I mean, she's just great. She's just doting and daffy and wonderful and a little clueless, and she's Carol Kane.
I mean, if you were gonna show Oswald's mother, that's really who it had to be.
Yeah. Selena, I want to mention. I do like her a lot first season. I do like many of her bits of her relationship with Bruce. She works, again, great with Tabby and Barb.
Yeah.
I will never be tired of her with Tabby and Barb. She just had too many, like, ups and downs. And I don't like this storyline, and da-da-da, and now she's being bratty, and it's just, like, it was a character unevenness.
She's one of those characters that I think they ran out of good ideas for her by the end of season 3.
Again, and the actress does a good job. I do want to give a shout-out to James Gordon. Not on my list. Think he's a great protagonist. Like to watch him kind of fall apart and build himself back up and just struggle with himself constantly.
Considering that he is more or less the straight man, they were able to get a bit more out of him than I would have expected out of the guy who needs to be the steady presence.
And the guy who's from the OC, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you were on you were like the bad boy on a silly, like,
I never watched that, so
I'm liking you here. You have grown as an actor. You have embraced the, like, nerdy craziness. Like, so I like that. So kudos to Ben McKenzie. Middle Ivy. We've already spoken about. Again, she is the best Ivy, hands down. There should not be another Ivy.
Yeah.
Tetch, yes. So I love Mad Hatter. Mainly because of his influence on Gordon and how he unravels him, that choice he makes between Lee and Valerie. Like, he just really messes with Gordon, and I enjoy that.
He's good for that.
And then Victor Zsasz, again, he would have been my 11th. I was down to, like, who's my number 10, and I was like, Nathaniel, like, is Zaz on your list? And you're like, yeah, Zaz is on my list. And I was like, okay, then we will talk about him. It will be fine. He's just that grin and that, like, he just takes such glee in murdering people.
The man loves his work.
He really does. There wasn't enough of him for me, so that was the main thing. So those are my honorable mentions. I narrowed it down from, like, 10 plus to 6, so we should be proud of me.
Yeah,
I'm going to take my card away, aren't you?
Well, like, there's two that I didn't do an honorable mentions list, but I do want to mention 2 people real quick, because I didn't put them in consideration because they have short run appearances, but they were both really good. One was the pig. I thought he was great. I think he did a great little mini arc. And the other literally only had 1 episode, but I still wanted her to come, and that is Laurie Petty's character from season 2, from this Ball of Mud and Meanness, as sort of this proto Harley Quinn. I love her so much, and the interrogation that Gordon tries to have with her, and he, like, gets in her face like, "Do you want me to hurt you?" She just looks at him. "Would you? I've got nowhere else to be." I'm like, oh God.
Probably one of your favorite lines in Gotham.
Oh, that's a great line, and I mean. Kind of like how for you, you have to give a shout out to Oswald's mom because Carol Kane. I have to give a shout out to that character because Laurie Petty.
Yeah, that's fair. No, totally legit.
So my number 3 was Jerome. We already did him. What's your number 3?
Number 3.
Alfred!
And I kept wavering between him and 2. He was originally 2, now he's 3. Because I did watch, like, part of an episode, and I'm like, I'm liking you. I'm liking this character a little bit more. So... that voice, again, not quite B.D. Wong voice, but, that voice, that British accent, just that, like, and I love this version of Alfred. Hands down, favorite version of Alfred. Just grizzled, tough, old British man, like, bruiser to the champ. checkered past, like, and I love his connection to Bruce's father. He's like a retired, jaded James Bond, I feel like.
A little bit, yeah.
That's the vibe I get from him. I like his connection to Selena, that he'll sometimes be like, hey, Bruce, you're being a jerk to Selena. Or you're not really understanding her. He really sticks up for her.
I don't think he trusts Selena, but he knows that she has value. And when Bruce screws up, he's like, dude, come on.
Yeah. Yep. He works well in scenes with Gordon and Bullock. Again.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's the thing about this cast is, like, they work so well together. Like, there's certain characters where it's like, you put this character in a scene with anyone and it's going to be great. And he's a good moral compass for Bruce, because Bruce is a mess for most of the series.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I just really like him, enjoy him.
All right. So, top 2, and once you see my number 2, you'll know what my number 1 is, but we'll get there. So, hold on. Number 2.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Babs. So this, like, she is right up there in terms of characters who I initially hate, and I mean hated.
Oh, I know.
I used to hate her.
Blah, blah, blah.
And then she went nuts.
And then you
and
loved her
and then
so
I was like,
much.
oh my God, this is amazing. Like, End of season one, I was still skeptical because I was like, was this the only way they could make her interesting? But then starting in season 2, I was like, oh, yes.
We're gonna have fun.
Oh, she is so much fun. And you're right, she was not always used well. And I didn't love the Ra's al Ghul storyline. I have mixed feelings about the fact that the last episode makes it look like she mellowed in later years. I have mixed feelings about that because on the one hand, I can attest to the fact that having a kid kind of mellows you out a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of still want you to be a little crazy. But I was never upset to see Barbara. I was always happy.
Always were like,
I was always happy to see Barbara, and yeah,
I'm gonna roll in with my tank. I'm gonna it's just and. She's great in that scene where Gordon is hallucinating and she's kind of like the elevator person looking around. She works so well in that scene.
I mean, she's just great. My top 2 are my top 2 because of fun. Because ultimately, that is why I stuck with Gotham. Because Gotham is fun. It is insane, psychotic fun. And the fact that she wasn't consistently used as well as who is at my number 1 was the only reason she missed out at it.
That's fair.
So,
okay,
you're number 2.
Yeah, I just love him. Harv is great. And again, I switched between him and Alfred a lot. Pretty much, I love everyone. I knew who my number 1 was going in because
I figured you're number 1 too.
Yeah, I know you know my number 1. I knew. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get there.
We'll get there. So. I like that he has ties to fish in the underworld the first season and that he's kind of guides Jim through the seedier sides. His womanizing is funny. His heavy drinking is, he's doing a little better, but he always brings himself down a little bit. He kind of is a mess.
Yeah.
But he means well.
He's the nicest dirty cop you'll ever meet.
Yeah, he really is. He's a good balance to Jim. They have a great dynamic. He just grows on me. It's Harv. He connects well with Lee as well. I do love some of his scenes with Lee. He just has a good, quieter understanding of her and her effects on Gordon. He's got some good scenes to a lesser degree with Selena and Bruce as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he doesn't have a bad rapport with anybody.
No. That is the beauty of this show. They have characters that just all work together and all have chemistry.
He's totally one of those characters who you can put in a scene with anybody and you're going to get something good out of it.
Yep. And I just love that he lets Jim know he doesn't need to be perfect because Jim is always trying to be morally upright and do the right thing, and that he's still there for him and that he still loves him, Yeah. And he looks great in hats.
He does.
He looks great in hats, so there you go.
My number 1... Hold on, I lost my card. Oh, okay, there it is. So, number 1...
Oh, I gotta do my number 1. Yeah, duh.
Okay. So, go ahead.
I just love him. From the moment he came on, I was like, oh, who is this? This guy is great. Just the mannerisms. He is, unlike you, I never tired of watching him self-sabotage. I could watch him do it. Like, it's so in character that, like, it's always like, how are you going to get there? How are you going to weasel your way out of this? How are you going to ruin it for yourself? I'm like, I could watch this for, like, I could have watched it for 3 more seasons at least. I will never get tired of him. Again, I agree. There's some storylines I like more than others. Anything with him involving Ed. Yes, I'm there.
Yeah.
But, or anything where he's, like, super close to death and, like, somehow, like, escapes the car at the last moment, which he does a couple times.
Yep.
I'll keep watching that too. And I never feel like they dial back his character. He doesn't have the inconsistencies that Selena does, where I'm like, this is not really in character. I don't know about this. Like,
and his temper tantrums he throws when things don't go his way.
They're so great because he seems to be getting it together and collected, and then he loses it. He just is great at manipulating other characters. He's like his slither to the top and then to fall down and slither back up and fall down.
You know what I like about his version of manipulation is it's not sneaky. Like, everyone always knows that, yes, I know you're playing me, but you have something I need.
Yeah, you
hold what I need, so I'm stuck with you. But, like, I always get the sense that Oswald thinks he's a good manipulator when honestly he's just a good strong armor. And I don't think he even realizes that about himself.
His good violent deaths of passion that he, like, pulls out. I think even season 1, I was like, does he have a crush on Gordon? And then when it was confirmed in, like, season 2 or 3 that, like, yes, he does actually like Ed, I kind of called early on. I'm like, he's kind of a little bit gay. And I'm like, yes, I wish he and Ed would have gotten together. I understand it, but I also kind of love that they don't.
Yeah, I do too. I like that they continue to have this affectionate yet uneasy whatever it is they have. And actually, I kind of had this conversation because he came up when I talked to Min Kobayashi last year about asexual characters. Because I talked about Oswald because in my head he's asexual. But per that discussion, it is possible he may be homo-romantic, but yes, asexual, which I would buy with him.
Okay, I can totally accept that too. He's great. And that, like, again, didn't love season 5, but when he's, like, putting on the monocle and the top hat in that last episode, I'm just like, yes.
The monocle was a good look for him. So
yes, I love him. Love him, love him, love him.
Let me gush about Victor for a bit.
Yeah, go for it.
So the reason Victor gets the top spot is because of fun. There, like, as much as I love Barbara, there were times when I was like, there was literally never a time when Victor showed up that I didn't have the biggest grin. God, yes. And, like, no matter what he was doing, whether he was killing people, robbing people, shooting a bunch of criminals because they didn't have a license, and then allowing a whole bunch of other criminals who did have a license to come in and rob this wedding. And, like, he just starts firing at the GCPD from a window. He's like, "Hi, Jim!" Like, I love this guy so much. He takes so much joy in what he does. Or one of my favorites when he blows up the sirens and he's just outside with a rocket launcher. Ladies? I love Victor so much.
He just always does call attention to, like, this is what I'm going to do. Yep.
This is what I'm going to do. And you know what? You can't stop me from doing it. Just try.
I'm literally pulling the trigger as I'm smiling and waving.
Yes. And again, he is very much a supporting character. He's never driving the story. Nothing is built around him. But I don't think there was any character that embodied the kind of fun that I have with this show more consistently
the epitome of
than Victor. Yeah. I just adore him. And I've seen interviews with the actor, who's a really cool guy, too.
Yeah, he's great. And, I mean, Gotham is just it was fun. It wasn't fun that much this season. They could have just...
You know what?
They should have thrown the, like, cards in the air and been like, whoa, we're going wild. But they didn't. We can love it for what it was.
Yeah, I will choose to remember select parts of season 5 and for the most part disregard it and still have a show I love.
Do those parts involve, like, Barbara in a tank and Barbara
in a tank and Barbara being wheeled away while in labor and shooting 2 pistols at the time? Yeah, I'll keep that in the memory bank.
That's fair.
But that's Gotham. That's our list for our top 10 favorite characters from Gotham. What do you folks think? Who was your favorite? What's your top 10? What's your top 16 if you want to do an honorable mention?
Like however many you need.
There's a lot of characters and a lot of them are very fun. Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. There's also stuff to do down there as well because there's buttons and links and Patreon and merch and click on stuff. It'll take you places, but you also don't have to because at the end of the day, folks, you're the council. I'm just running the meetings, sometimes with Liz.
Yes.
And until next time, this council is adjourned. Mwah.